Good morning or afternoon, guys. Welcome back. We appreciate the time for you guys joining us today. Welcome to the webinar on X2 controllers and Wi-Fi WAN. So again, I'd like to appreciate you taking the time out to spend a little time with us today. I want to introduce Ben Sachs. Ben, how you doing today?
Hey, Steve, doing great. How you doing?
We're doing great up in Midwest here. So unfortunately, Derek was not able to see us today. He had a conflict, so Ben stepped up. He raised his hands and says, hey, guys, I can help you out here in sunny California. Well, I guess I heard it's raining today, but he's in California and I'm sitting up in the Twin Cities. So go ahead, Ben, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Yeah, as you can see on the screen, welcome sign shows Derek and Steve. Unfortunately, Derek couldn't be here. I like to consider myself the first alternate here. Consider me Tom Brady to his Drew Bledsoe. If he knew I called myself Tom Brady, he'd be stewing in his brain right now. But I'm here. I'm a product manager. I'm happy to cover any questions, go over the X2 with y'all, talk about the hardware, the software setup, everything. Pretty much a soup to nuts cover of the brand new product X2 and WAN Wi-Fi module. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Our Hunter sales staff has done an awesome job in terms of hosting all these webinars, trainings, keeping everybody up to snuff on what we got, the latest and greatest from Hunter Industries, all completely free. As Steve alluded to, if you guys haven't been a part of the weekly Wednesday and Thursday Hydrawise 8-part trainings, I urge you guys to check that out. Yesterday's was really, really good, going over Wi-Fi basics and network and communication along those lines. So all the training, the better. Everyone's honing in on their education and information these days, and perfect opportunity to just learn about our new products here. So without further ado, I will continue along here. I'll take a quick step back real quick. And if you guys aren't familiar, Hydrawise is one of our software platforms that we use as remote irrigation management. So the X2 controller works with our Hydrawise software plan. We actually have a couple different irrigation management softwares out there. Hydrawise is perfect for our residential, light commercial maintenance contractors, design build contractors, anyone who's managing a whole bunch of sites and wants to be able to contact their customers and their controllers remotely, pretty much from anywhere in the world that you have internet connection. You can change schedules, update systems, turn controllers off, notify customers you're going to be coming through, doing blowouts, anything along those lines. So Hydrawise is our software. I don't want to toot our own horn too much here, but it is one of the industry leading softwares out there in terms of managing multiple controllers and doing smart Wi-Fi internet connected updates for homeowners and commercial properties alike. So what is Hydrawise? The main thing that I like to point out here is it is a cloud-based software. It is not a dedicated software that you have to download to an individual device. It is accessible via smartphone, tablet, or PC from anywhere in the world. Like I said, if you have an internet connection, you download the Hydrawise app, you can log in, see any of your controllers from anywhere in the world. Remote landscape irrigation management is what we're after there, and that's kind of the way of the world in the 21st century these days. I mean, anything from a doorbell to your washer and dryer to even a dog food bowl or water filler upper can text you remotely and let you know when things have gone awry. So everything can be controlled by your smartphone these days, and the irrigation world is no different. We like to be able to manage our customers, manage our sites, and keep those landscapes healthy and beautiful. A few things that you typically expect from a professional Wi-Fi irrigation system, internet connected irrigation system. We got weather ET adjustments based on hyperlocal weather information. That makes your system very smart and prevents your irrigation from occurring when it's raining outside, bumps run times up and down if it's going to be extra hot tomorrow or going to be a little bit cooler. A lot of smarts there. Most of our Hydrawise customers can boast about a 40 or 50% water savings off the bat just by connecting their controller to a Hydrawise system. So not only are you making your controller smarter, you're making your entire system smarter by being able to detect different things going on with your system, know when stations are turning on and off properly. If your schedule is been adjusted by, say, a homeowner, Mr. and Mrs. Smith got in there and changed the schedule quite a bit, you get alerts and events logging and get to know what's going on with the system instantaneously. So it's a great opportunity for checks and balances, as well as being able to be proactive in terms of issues going on with the system and updating schedules, changing runtimes, doing anything along those lines. So typically we got weather information, we got powerful hardware, and then you got a ton of contractor features, multi-site manager features, a whole suite of benefits there for you to be able to manage multiple controllers remotely, not have to access the homeowner, not have to talk to the homeowner to even do some of these things. So being able to do all this stuff remotely is a huge time saver, huge money saver as well, and then also a big revenue generation opportunity as landscape maintenance, irrigation maintenance professionals. Being able to maintain sites remotely is a huge opportunity there for customers. Here on the screen, you can see here just a quick illustration of what a typical residential Wi-Fi Hydrawise enabled system would look like. We got an HPC controller over here connecting to the internet. You got your Wi-Fi router modem combo over here that connects pretty much all of your devices in your house, obviously, to the internet, whether it's a smart TV, Bluetooth speakers, radio, anything that you want connected to the internet goes through your Wi-Fi router. So your controller connects to the router. If necessary, put a little booster, Wi-Fi range extender in there to get better communication to the controller, and then you're off and running. So that's a pretty typical setup there that you would see for a Wi-Fi connected system in Hydrawise there. So everything leading up to 2020, this was pretty much our Hydrawise offering there. Hydrawise came on board with Hunter in 2016, and the first iteration that we had there was the HC controller, the little blue and white guy on the left side of the screen there. That was our initial hardware offering. It was an indoor only, fixed 6 and 12 station options. We pretty much took that model and beefed it up and introduced 3 awesome solutions that are supplements to that HC controller. So all 4 of these controllers, obviously, as you can see on there, have the touch screen and are Wi-Fi enabled right out of the box, so you can connect to the internet without any additional plug-in modules with these controllers. You can still program the controller in offline via the touch screen, so there's a nice flexibility there to be able to run your programs in offline mode or when you're connected to Wi-Fi. But the big difference that you'll notice here is all these controllers don't have a dial, they don't have any buttons, they don't have any traditional controller information that you would see with a standard standalone Hunter type controller like your X-Core or Pro C. So HC little guy, 6 and 12, fixed indoor, pretty good for tract homes and new production. We got the HPC here, which is a Pro C Hydrawise face panel, so you can even update standalone Pro C controllers out there in the field dating back to 2014. You just swap out what we call the face pack or the control panel there, and you can update older controllers to online Wi-Fi control there as well. So we got the replacement face pack for the HPC as well as a whole good controller. This guy is modular, so it comes as a base 4 station and then incrementally can go up to 16 stations from there. Further, we got the Pro HC. This guy is probably one of our best selling Hydrawise controllers. We got fixed 6, 12, and 24 station options available there. Great for your residential and commercial projects if you're going upwards of 20 zones there. It's integrated integrated touchscreen there. Got your terminal strips in there. It's just a great controller. 2 sensor ports to use with your flow sensor as well as your rain sensor. It's just a great option for, like I said, any residential or commercial project. And then stepping up into the world of even more commercial control, if you're familiar with Hunter's original ICC or newer ICC2 controller, we got the HCC here, which is a base 8 station that goes all the way up to 54 station, has a 2-wire option for use with our easy decoder system. A lot of flexibility there with that HCC. So similar with the HPC, you can even swap out the control panel on this guy with older ICCs or ICC2s to get upgraded to HCC. So we call that backwards compatibility. A lot of flexibility, a lot of upsell opportunities there to be able to go to an older customer and say, hey, you got a 1999 ICC here, let's upgrade you to Hydrawise control with this HCC super quickly and easily. So leading up through all the way up until 2019, we had a pretty awesome offering here from 6-station indoor model all the way up to a 54-station 2-wire functioning controller there that all connect to Hydrawise. Moving forward into 2020, and what we're going to be talking about today is that guy on the left side of the screen there, the X2 with wand. So what we did is we took a ton of feedback from the field, having our Hydrawise controllers out there in the market for 4+ years now. We took all that feedback from our customers and we introduced the X2 with wand. So as we talked about, up till 2019, we had touchscreen only Hydrawise controllers. Now you can kind of get the best of both worlds. You get what looks like an X-Core controller. If you're familiar with an X-Core or even a Pro C, you got your dials, you got your start time, runtime, water days, pretty much can program those type of controllers in your sleep. And you got your buttons to navigate around the controller there. Program button looks just like an X-Core, like I said. So the X2 with wand is a dial-based controller with a plug-in module option to add Wi-Fi after the fact. So like I said, that kind of splits the difference between a standalone controller and an internet connected touchscreen Wi-Fi enabled right out of the box Hydrawise controller, which is perfect for those entry-level areas or even high volume areas like new tract home developments, a new subdivision for a new home building. Anyone that's going to be managing a lot of sites and installing a lot of controllers quickly, X2 with Wand is a great solution for you guys there. So perfect solution if you're building a whole new tract home subdivision. There's nobody living in any of these homes quite yet. There's not Wi-Fi available readily right then and there, but you're an installer. You want to make sure the controller operates properly and doesn't need Wi-Fi. So you hang an X2 and then you can provision the maintenance guy or even the homeowner to come in later to plug in that Wand module after the fact and get the controller upgraded, connected to the internet, and get all the benefits that you would see with a Hydrawise system. So like I've said 3 or 4 times now, it's the best of both worlds. Dial-based controller, plug in a super easy, affordable module, and you're connected to the internet, and you can do everything you want to do from Hydrawise from there. 2 things I like to point out as a difference in terms of the hardware here. The 4 controllers you see on the right are all compatible with our HC flow meter, Hydrawise pulse output flow meter to monitor flow in your system. And these 4 controllers also have built-in milliamp sensor to constantly monitor the status of your field wiring, let you know if you got a dead short to a solenoid, if somebody put a shovel accidentally through some of your field wires, it'll let you know instantaneously. X2 unfortunately does not have those 2 features, flow and the milliamp sensor. I like to be upfront about that. X2 is pretty much our entry-level Hydrawise controller here. Gets you a standalone controller and plug-in module after the fact. So we wish we could have all the bells and whistles across the board here, but obviously you can't have everything at the same price point across the board. So full disclosure, no flow meter or milliamp sensor in X2 with Wand, but there's still a ton of benefits and features available in terms of Wi-Fi internet connected control that we'll get into. Steve, how are we looking? Any questions on anything about the hardware that we just went over? Or is it pretty straightforward?
No, so far so good. They're pretty quiet right now. I think they're waiting for the meat and potatoes on this X2. So I would continue on.
Beautiful. Sounds good. There you go. Here's a quick little picture of an installation. Plug that module in, super quick and easy, and get you connected online. So on the surface, we got a 4, a 6, an 8, or a 14 station. I think we got a picture. There you go. We got a 14 station module or model in there. So a lot of flexibility in terms of project sizes from 4 all the way up to 14 stations. 14 is pretty unique in the marketplace. In the world of 6 and 12 station controllers, 14 gets you that extra flexibility to get 2 more zones in there. A lot of people like that option there. You also get the addition of a second common terminal on there to make field wiring a little bit easier on you. So 4 to 14, a lot of flexibility, fixed station counts there. Obviously, as we talked about, you're upgradable to Wi-Fi. The plug-in module is just to the right of these buttons here on the side of the controller. The controller comes with a little cap that covers the hole for that module there, but you pull that out and you'll slide in the Wand module, and we'll go over that in a little bit there. Another really cool thing about the actual enclosure of the controller, you can't really see it very well. We'll get into it in a picture a little bit later, but there's a pre-molded conduit receptacle, a 3/4 inch conduit receptacle right here underneath the field wiring outlet, if you will. So you can save a couple bucks on those conduit adapters. You don't need to thread that guy in there. You just got to feed your wires through that hole, slide your 3/4 inch conduit up there, and you're good to go. So speed and simplicity is what we're going for here with the X2 controller. That molded in conduit receptacle helps tremendously. Lastly, this controller will still work with our handheld Roam and Roam XL remotes. That was some of the feedback that we got from our early adoption Hydrawise controllers is, hey, I love being able to use my smartphone to do all these adjustments and whatnot, but when I'm in a ditch doing some winterizations, blowing out lines, doing any maintenance, wet checks, you name it, I don't want to pull out my $700 smartphone to do all that manual start and stop and maintenance. I want to still use my robust waterproof remotes. So X2, along with our HPC and the HCC controller, those are your 3 Hydrawise controllers that can still use those handheld remotes there for quick maintenance on and off. Super, super easy. A few more benefits there. Very similar to the X-Core controller, we got 3 programs with 4 start times each. Real quick, just for clarification, this is all standalone controller information. Some of these specs change a little bit when you do plug the Wand module in, but as a standalone controller, just like X-Core, 3 programs, your ABC with 4 start times, 1, 2, 3, 4 programs just like you're used to. You get up to 6-hour run times, useful for using drip and planter beds and whatnot. Typical watering day types, you got your 7-day, odd 31, even day, interval watering, typical watering day selections that you would get with any Hunter controller. And then digging into a few more of the advanced features of the X2, you get cycle and soak available, super useful if you got elevation change and you got runoff happening real quickly. If your spray heads or even some rotors are running off quickly down to the end of a slope, you can set up a cycle and soak program to cycle and allow that water to saturate the soil a little bit better. Similarly, we got typical global seasonal adjustment up to 200%. You can bump your entire programs up and down based on the seasonality that you got going on. Upwards of 100% if you know it's going to be 90 degrees or plus, and then you can bump it down in the winter and spring months there. Similarly, you can do all the typical manual run, manual program, and test all station functions that you would be able to do from a standard X-Core or Pro C controller as well. A few more advanced features we got going on here. This wasn't available in the original X-Core, but it is available in the Pro C and ICC2. Customers really like this feature. It's called the Hide Programs feature. One thing that I'm sure everybody is familiar with, that homeowners tend to think that every single station requires its own start time, and that's actually not the case as all of us professionals are familiar with, right? So the Hide Programs feature kind of simplifies everything for both the homeowner and the contractor. It only shows program A and it only shows one start time on there. So it simplifies programming, doesn't confuse the homeowner from thinking they need to allocate more and more start times for all of their stations. So if you want to have all 3 start times or all 3 programs and all 4 start times visible, by all means, but if you want to simplify everything, you can do that with the Hide Program shortcut there. Similarly, you can program the controller to be off for up to 99 days. Steve, you live up in the freezing cold up there in Minnesota. I know all through the winter time you want to make sure those controllers aren't firing solenoids dry or doing any irrigation whatsoever, or trying to do any irrigation for that matter. So you can set the controller off just to be off standalone for up to 99 days.
Great
Similarly,
option.
What's that?
That's a great option. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of our standalone controllers have this functionality. It's just a nice advanced feature to be able to pre-program your controller to be off for a set period of time. Similarly, we have a delay between stations functionality. If you got slow closing valves, say you're pulling water from a well, anything along those lines that need to settle some hydraulics in the piping there, you can add a little bit of a delay between the stations so they don't just fire off one after another. Allow those valves to close properly to prevent any low head drainage, check valves to seat properly, all that stuff. We also have short circuit protection in all of our standalone controllers, so it makes sure you don't have any shorts or overramping solenoids out there. Every single terminal station output in the X2 is rated to 560 milliamps or 0.56 amps. So if you got a dead shorted solenoid that's pulling more current than 560 milliamps, or if you accidentally wired up too many solenoids to one output, you'll get an error in the controller. It'll say, oh, station 5 ERR, and you'll know you got to go investigate some wiring or go check out those solenoids there. So that automatically comes with the controller. Similarly with that, we have the quick check functionality. It's just a quick blast of buttons there that you push, a sequence of buttons to kind of do an audit on all of your field wiring out there. It'll cycle through all the stations and go and kind of pulse the wire path there to make sure that all of your valves are working properly and all your wires are connected properly there. And then one of the last cool advanced benefits that we got there is our easy retrieve memory backup. A lot of people don't realize that we have this functionality in all of our standalone controllers, but it's an awesome feature to be able to store your professional set irrigation programming and settings quickly and easily in case things get changed accidentally and you want to restore that information. So you just hold the plus button, hit that program button to save your professionally set settings, and then you hold the minus button and the program button to restore that information. So always like to reiterate that easy retrieve functionality comes with all of our standalone controllers, is a great option in terms of restoring the professional set schedule, or it can be used for a growing schedule or anything you want to do, an establishment schedule, any type of settings that you want to maintain within that controller, you can save as an easy retrieve. Moving forward a little bit, back into the hardware, the display we updated a little bit from the X-Core. So we predicated this off the ICC2, got a 2-inch backlit display. It doesn't go fully dim, but it does dim out after about half an hour, or excuse me, after 30 seconds. So there's 2 levels of brightness. If you move the dial or push one of the buttons, it goes to full brightness, but it dims a little bit after inactivity. So You can see much easier in indoor and outdoor environments with that backlit display on there. A few more icons and changed a little bit from the X-Core controller, so it's a little bit more intuitive and easier to understand. Typical 1 amp transformer that you would see on a smaller residential controller like this. We talked about the station outputs, 560 milliamps. For reference, a typical Hunter solenoid usually pulls about 200 or 250 milliamps, which is about 1/4 of an amp per solenoid. So you got plenty of buffer in there to prevent any sort of overloading going on your individual stations. The master valve output goes up to 0.28 or 280 milliamps. So you can still use your pump start relays or your master valves in there as well. Another really cool thing that comes pre-wired into the controller, you'll see here on the bottom picture, it is pre-wired with a 5-foot cord and 90-degree plug that helps you install it super easily into your outdoor weatherproof enclosures there. So pre-wired, no need to get your wire connectors, get in that tiny little junction box. All you got to do, run that cable to your nearby outlet and you're good to go. Again, speed and simplicity was what we were going for with this controller. So hang it on the wall, plug it in, and you are good to go. To the right there, you can see that 3/4 inch conduit receptacle, super useful in terms of just jacking in that conduit and getting your wires out of there quickly and easily. In the controller, we got one sensor terminal available, standard like you would see with an X-Core and Pro C for use for an on-site rain, freeze type sensor in there. So even if you are going to have that WAN module installed for Wi-Fi internet connectivity, we still do recommend having an on-site rain or freeze sensor just as a fail-safe to make sure that, hey, that controller is not going to be irrigating when it's pouring rain outside. So got a quick sensor input available there, as well as to combine with the smarts of the WAN module for all the weather data that you get there. Talked about the compatibility with the Roam XL. And then lastly, you'll notice on the right side here, there's no integrated key and lock there. There's just a hasp lock that can fit pretty much any standard padlock in there too. So not your standard key and lock assembly. You can use any old aftermarket lock assembly if you know it's going to be in a high foot traffic area or you don't want people getting in and out of that control. A few more benefits in terms of the software when you plug in the WAN module. So one thing that I like to point out up front is there's 2 different modes of watering types in Hydrawise, or program types. We have a standard mode, and then we also have what's called an advanced mode. So the X2 being our entry-level controller offering here, X2 only works with standard mode, which is actually, in some opinions, a little bit better because it programs just like you want the controller to. Standard mode allows your program ABC and your start times 1, 2, 3, just like the controller programs. So some of the feedback that we got with early iteration Hydrawise controllers, it used to only be in advanced mode where you would allocate a start time and then add stations to that start time to kind of generate a program there. There wasn't your ABC and your individual start time. So programming was a little bit troublesome for some people, having to change wrap their mind around how that works. So we, instead of forcing everyone to go into advanced mode, we introduced standard mode last year across the board for all of our Hydrawise controllers. So just much easier for users who are users who are used to doing the program ABC start time 1, 2, 3 program sets up just the same in the software there. So X2 only has standard mode available. You get 2 more start times when you plug in that WAN module. So you got 3 programs with 6 start times each, as opposed to 3 and 4 as a standalone controller. Also, when you get that WAN module plugged in, it bumps your max runtime up to 24-hour runtimes in there. So that's a nice feature. If you have long runs of drip or a lot of drip running, you can run them for much longer than the minimum 6 hours as a standalone controller. Similarly, you get the benefit of our virtual solar sync when you plug the WAN module in. So instead of having the need to put a physical sensor on site for your solar sync ET adjustments, you can use a virtual solar sync, which takes your precise address and pulls about 60,000 different data points every single day in terms of real-time ET information, historical ET information, can even gather some forecast data for tomorrow. So all that smarts, weather station information all gets pulled and bundled up within your software and then gets pushed down to the controller to, like we said, bump those runtimes up and down based on the local weather settings, or even kill irrigation if there's a probability of rainfall for the next day. Lastly, you can get all the controller status alerts that you would want remotely pushed directly to your phone via in-app notification. You can get an email if your controller gets disconnected from the internet, or you can even get a text notification pushed to you if you want to know, hey, my rain sensor is active, my rain sensor has been deactivated, my controller was scheduled to run at 8 a.m., but it didn't start until 9 a.m. What happened there? All sorts of different information that you can pull from that controller via the software there. So kind of just scratch the surface there in terms of the software benefits that you get from Hydrawise by plugging the WAN module in, but ultimately quick programming through standard mode, enhanced run times, virtual solar sync, or even time-based watering. If you're familiar with Hydrawise, you can do either virtual solar sync or time-based watering for your smart ET adjustments. And then obviously the remote irrigation management, alerts, event logging, reports, all that jazz that you get with Hydrawise. All right, so real quick, I'm just gonna run through a few different setup wizards, if you will, to show the different ways that you can get the WAN module connected to the internet and how to get that guy online, whether you have an Apple, an Android, or if you're using a desktop PC there. So obviously, as you see in this image, there's no touchscreen interface with the X2, so you got to use your phone or a separate device to be able to get this WAN module connected to the local internet, which then tells the controller, hey, we're online there. So we'll go through those steps here in the next few slides. So first and foremost, there's a few requirements for the WAN setup. Obviously, you need to have the X2 controller hung on the wall and powered up, ready to accept that WAN receptacle. You need the WAN Wi-Fi module separately. It's a list price of $152 for that WAN module, so it's pretty affordable to get your controller hooked up and online after the fact. As with every Hydrawise controller that we offer, the 2.4 gigahertz frequency is what we connect to. We have no ability to connect to the 5 gigahertz channel, and frankly, we don't have any plans to connect to that 5 gigahertz channel, mainly because the 5 gigahertz is perfect for your Netflix streaming, internet connectivity to your PC or your TVs or whatnot. The 2.4 gigahertz channel is a slower frequency, which means it can travel quite a bit farther, particularly in outdoor environments. So it gets us a broader range of coverage on that 2.4 gigahertz channel. Plus, we don't really need the faster bandwidth. We're not doing a whole lot of data consumption with the controller, so it's not like it's downloading a movie or a album or anything to your controller. So the 2.4 gig is perfect for our internet connected controllers. Get all your high-speed Netflix streaming stuff on that 5 gigahertz channel. And if you guys didn't have a chance to listen to Kevin Battistoni yesterday and Steve and the guys up in the Great Lakes, they gave a great presentation yesterday on Wi-Fi and network kind of basics, how to look like a pro when you're on site and know what you're talking about in terms of internet connectivity. If you guys weren't able to join that webinar yesterday, I urge you guys to check out the recording of that, because it was really, really good, going over all the basics, all the acronyms that you need to know, all the different information to be able to get controllers online quickly and easily. So 2.4 gigahertz, just kind of burn that into your brain. That's the frequency we're going to be going with for here on out, and we've always been on. So luckily, most Wi-Fi routers and modems these days come with a dual band option of a 2.4 gigahertz and 5. Just want to make sure you have that 2.4 available. Obviously, you need a smartphone with internet access. One thing that we obviously get questions on from time to time is, does my smartphone also need to be connected to the Wi-Fi network to be able to control this controller? And that is not the case. You just need to have any sort of network connection, whether it's your local 4G or 5G LTE connection to your cell phone. As long as you're on the internet essentially and available to browse the interweb, you can connect to Hydrawise remotely and access the controller. So only the controller connects to the Wi-Fi network. Your smartphone just has to be connected to the internet by any means of connectivity. If you're new to Hydrawise, you'll download the application from your Apple iOS or Google Play for Android users stores. Download that app, it's a free app. If you're new and not familiar with Hydrawise, you don't even need a physical controller to be able to go in and play with the software. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check out Hydrawise, either go to hydrawise.com on a desktop and go play around with the software and see all the bells and whistles and functionality you got there, or even download the app on your phone and get that puppy up and running. Sooner than later, get used to the software and whatnot. So it's a nice little ability to be able to play with the software before actually physically investing in the hardware there. And then when you set up your controller or your first account, you'll get an email to go through the whole setup wizard and process there. Pretty straightforward. Just like to cover these requirements for any type of internet connection, Wi-Fi setup. So the setup typically takes about 15-20 minutes to get that controller online from the beginning to end, whether it's going up and downloading a a network analyzer, making sure you have enough signal strength where you're planning on installing the controller. Make sure you got a strong, at least 4 bars, or if you're familiar with how internet connectivity is, you want a lower negative dBi rating, say negative 20 to 40 is ideal. In those scenarios, obviously when you're connecting a controller to the internet, you want to make sure it's within range of your router. So a couple options there would be to, if you can, move the location of the controller, or potentially move the location of the router, or as we saw in the illustration earlier, there's opportunities to add super affordable bridges, extensions, kind of Wi-Fi network boosters that just plug into an outlet and can boost that range of your of your Wi-Fi network there. So before you hang the controller and plug it in, you want to make sure there's going to be Wi-Fi available where you're planning on installing the controller. Step 2, obviously you need the WAN module to plug in to connect to the internet. Step 3, you'll need a Hydrawise account. So depending on if the customer or homeowner already has an account, it could take anywhere from 1 to 5 to 10 minutes or so. It's pretty straightforward. Sends you an email, you go through, enter your information, set up an email and password, and you're good to go. Then you'll actually physically go into your account and add the X2 and WAN controller to your account to be able to be managed, and then you are good to go. So a lot of information there. If any of these steps are new to you guys, there's a ton of support articles on hydrawise.com to be able to figure out how to go through proper means of getting any Hydrawise controller connected to the internet and online. So I talked about it a little bit. First thing you want to do, you want to make sure there's Wi-Fi available where you're planning on hanging the controller. So obviously walls, hills, garage doors, any type of obstruction that may be in between the network router and where you're planning on hanging the controller will inhibit that range of Wi-Fi connectivity. So I urge you guys to, if you haven't, maybe download a free app on your phone that gives you a network analyzer that shows you your signal strength all across a different site there. It's very, very useful to be able to know what your connectivity is going to look like. There's no real point in hanging an internet connected controller if it's going to be dropping signal over and over again. It's going to be more of a headache than freedom at that point. So make sure you are close together within range of that Wi-Fi network. Talked about it, 2.4 gigahertz is all we got. That's all we're going to be connecting with for the future. That's where you want to be. So 5 gigahertz, don't even worry about. 2.4 is where we want to be. And now here we go, we'll get into the physical installation of installing the WAN module. I mentioned there's a little plug-in cover that comes with the standalone controller. You'll pop that guy out and then physically slide the module into the side of the face pack, which fits flush on the controller there, nice and neat, allows for the door to close still. It's just a very clean installation to be able to connect to the internet and have no external antennas or anything sticking out of the controller there. So if you hadn't, you would go to your Apple iOS App Store or your Google Play Store. You will download the Hydrawise app and click the register button, enter your email, your name, and set up a password and get set up with a Hydrawise account. You'll get sent an automatic email to go to the Let's Get Started and get you all set up within the software in there. So sometimes we have heard that Hydrawise sometimes gets pushed to your spam folder, or you may have accidentally typed in your email incorrectly in there. So make sure that you check all your folders and options when you get that activation account email sent to you there. But pretty much you should go into the Hydrawise app, put your name, email, password, sends you an email, you go to Let's Get Started, and you are good to go. We're gonna create our unique password for our individual account. We're gonna click the OK button. And then once you have finally set up your Hydrawise account, you're gonna add the physical controller to your account in there. So the first thing you wanna do is click Run the Setup Wizard button, and then click the Let's Get Started button that'll pop up right after that. The most important thing that you need to know for your WAN and X2 setup is the serial number of that actual WAN Wi-Fi module. That is the unique identifier to how that controller differentiates from any other controllers in our database, or if you have multiple controllers in your account. So you're gonna click that Let's Get Started button. You're gonna create a name for your controller, call it, what do we got here, Bradley's Landscape. And then you're going to enter the physical serial number that's on the WAN module to identify that connection there. Oh, go back real quick. Last thing that you'll do, you'll enter your physical address of where the controller is located, and that's essential for all your weather information and ET adjustments there. You'll click Continue. That's pretty much it for the setup for a new user. You do pretty much the same process for an existing Hydrawise user, except you'll navigate into your app. There's a menu icon up here, 3 lines in the left corner of your application. That's called a hamburger icon. You'll click on that. You'll navigate down to your individual account, and then you'll click on My Controllers. And then for My Controllers, there's a plus sign there for you to be able to add your new controller there. So all these controllers, these could be, you got an X2 here at the bottom. This could be an HCC. This could be a Pro HC. There's no limit of any combination of controllers you can have in your account. But when you're adding a new controller, that's pretty much the setup there. You click the hamburger icon upper left of the application, go down to your account, My Controllers, boom, hit that plus sign, add your controller, and you're good to go. You'll do the same exact steps as we talked about as a new user, as setting up the name of the controller and then entering that necessary serial number there as well. Enter your address, and you're connected to the internet. So this whole process is all done from within the app on your phone or tablet or PC. So like we were talking about, that you do have to physically connect that WAN module to your local network connection. So we just added the controller, we input the serial number, it is ready to go, it's in your account, but now you actually got to get this bad boy online and connected to the internet. So this next step obviously just comes up after you click next within the setup wizard. There's an option that says, hey, do you need to connect this controller Wi-Fi? You'll click yes, and then from there you will navigate to adding the controller to your Wi-Fi network. So there's a couple different options right now in terms of how you can connect your controller to the internet. The first one is called a Wi-Fi direct setup, also known as a SAP mode. SAP stands for Software Access Point. Essentially what happens is you'll push the button a couple times on the side of the Wi-Fi module and it broadcasts its own network for you to direct connect to with either your smartphone or your tablet. And then once you're connected to that WAN module, then you can go in and set up, hey, I want to be on this network, and this is the password, and this is how I get connected. So Wi-Fi direct setup, or SAP, software access point mode, I'd say that's about how 99% of our customers are going to connect to the internet there. The second option you see here, WPS Router Setup. If you're familiar with your internet router or most network communication, WPS, or Wi-Fi protected setup, is pretty much what we call a push button connect mode. You pretty much hold that WPS button, and then you set the WAN into WPS or PBC mode, and they automatically sync together there. The main issue with that is it generally requires the contractor or whoever's setting up the controller to go into the homeowner's home, navigate to where the router is, push that button. Most guys don't like to be tracking mud all through individual homeowners' residences. So like I said, the Wi-Fi direct setup, 99% of our customers will do, but if you got a router nearby and you just want to pair your WAN module directly to the router, by all means, go to that WPS/push button connect mode, and should be quick and easy getting you online. So we'll start off here with the software access point mode. We're going to start with iPhone and Android users, or excuse me, iPhone users, Apple users. Pretty much what you do is on your device, you're going to select, hey, I want to use software access point mode to connect to my WAN module. And then you're going to push, there's a little black button on the physical WAN module that you push twice to enable that software access point mode. There's a little LED on the WAN module that when you slide it into the face of the controller, it illuminates on the face pack. There's a red, an amber, and a green LED in there that helps indicate connection, waiting for the controller, or if you've lost connection there. So you'll push that WAN button twice, puts you in software access point mode. The solid amber LED will start blinking twice. So let's see, we got it blinking in here. That means, hey, I'm in SAP mode. I'm ready to pair with your phone. Let's get going. So that LED is super helpful and intuitive in terms of getting this setup online. Once you see that LED is blinking twice and ready to pair, you can click continue in your phone, and then move forward with the connection. So next, we're actually going to physically connect my phone to that WAN module. So you're going to navigate out of the app, you're going to slide up your Wi-Fi settings, and you're going to select the broadcasted Hunter X2-XXX. It'll be the last 3 digits of that serial number. So that's when you push that button twice, it's broadcasting that Hunter X2-XXX Wi-Fi network for you to connect to. So you'll connect directly to that. And once you do, you'll navigate right back into the Hydrawise app and you'll click the rescan button. So here we go. It shows we're in the app. We're going to leave the app. We're going to connect directly to the WAN module there from your Wi-Fi network list. And then when you navigate back to the app, you click that rescan button right there, and it'll show you what available networks are available for that module to connect to permanently. Generally, it'll be the homeowner's network that you are going to be connecting to, or a commercial site network that is on site there. So you left the app, you connected directly to the module, now you're back in the app and you're getting it online permanently here. So you see some networks available here. You'll select whichever one you want to connect to, and then you will click connect. From there, enter the homeowner's or site manager's password. You can either give your phone, if you're managing the site professionally for a homeowner, you can give your phone to them and have them enter the password. Obviously, a lot of people don't like sharing their passwords too often, but ultimately, you're generally going to be connecting to the internet one time, as long as that router is staying in that home and they're not changing any of their network information. So hand your phone to the homeowner, let them type in their password, and they are connected to the internet. You click OK, you click continue, and then you will wait until you see a solid green LED illuminated in the face pack there, and then you will also see online, pop up on the display, and it'll let you know, hey, we successfully connected to the internet, your controller is now online, do everything else that you want to do via Hydrawise at this point. So pretty quick and easy, a lot of information to tell you what's going on as you're going through the process with the LEDs illuminating. Once you enter that password properly, you'll get that solid green. Online will pop up on the screen and you are connected and good to go. For Android smartphones and tablets, it's pretty much the same exact process. There is only one step in between there that's a little bit different. You'll be prompted to disable your mobile data on your mobile device when you're going through the direct connect, the software access point connection. So it's literally the same exact steps we just ran through with an Apple device, but for Android, guys, you have to disable your mobile data quickly and then re-enable it after you disconnect. So I think there's some steps here that show, yep, you select your network, you get an alert, says, hey, this device is connected to non-Wi-Fi network, you must disable your mobile data. You'll click OK. From there, you navigate back into the app, select your network, input the password, and then you are pretty much done. So the main difference there between Android and Apple devices is you have to disable that mobile network when you connect directly via the SAP mode. There you go. Lastly, you can also connect to a WAN and an X2 controller via laptop or desktop. So if you have a PC controller nearby where you're setting up, or excuse me, PC computer nearby where you're setting up the controller, you can also connect and do this whole process from the computer. You don't have to do it from your phone or tablet. So just like we did with the last two, you push that button twice on the side of the Wi-Fi, of the module. You navigate to your new networks. You select the Hunter X2-XXX, and then get back into the app and finish the setup to connect to the internet. And that pretty much covers it in terms of the software access point mode. Real quick, I did want to go through the push button connect or the WPS router setup. It's pretty straightforward. You just push the button 3 times on the WAN module, push the WPS pair button on your router, and they should sync together automatically there. So that is an awesome solution if you want to be able to set up the internet connection quickly and easily, and perhaps the homeowner doesn't want to share her network credentials with you. But also, like we talked about, it kind of requires you going into the home and doing some work inside of the home to get to that push button connect method. So you'll hit that button 3 times. The LED will blink amber 3 times. It will say, hey, PBC on the display, we are ready to connect. And then whenever it does connect, after you hit that WPS button on your router, you're pretty much done and good to go. Just like we did with the software access point mode, once you are connected, LED turns solid green, online pops up on the screen, and you are ready to rock. Connection successful, let's continue. A few quick troubleshooting tips that you might notice as you're going through this programming and network setup. The wand, like I said, can blink or can be solid amber, green, or red. If you get a solid amber, obviously you're sitting there waiting for for the controller to be connected to the internet and to have those network credentials set up. So perhaps the solid amber might indicate, hey, you added this controller and serial number to your personal Hydrawise account, but hey, it still hasn't been connected to the local network there. So you'll get that solid amber. And the face pack lets you know this controller still needs to be connected to the internet. Green equals good, all is good there. And then a solid red means, hey, perhaps you didn't enter the Wi-Fi password properly, you lost signal connection to the router. Anything that could be going awry in that network communication will blink, or will give you a solid red LED on the face of the controller there. Lastly, one quick thing you can do if for whatever reason you need to reset the entire WAN module and start from scratch, you just hold that button in on the WAN module until FDR, or factory default reset, pops up on the X2 screen. Done will pop up on the screen once it has been reset, so you can quickly and easily do a factory reset on the WAN module there. So a few questions that we get often with X2 with WAND. Obviously, it's awesome to be able to have a dial-based controller that you can program pretty much in your sleep, and then have a plug-in module after the fact to get it online. But there's got to be some give and take there with the functionality, obviously, assuming. So what can my controller do once I do slide in that WAN module is probably the #1 question that we get. So if you're planning on using the WAN module, you're not going to be able to do any more programming at the actual physical controller. So if you have an entire schedule set in the controller, you plug that WAN module in, you're going to have to go into your Hydrawise account and reset that schedule. We don't have the ability to upload the existing schedule in the controller just yet. We're working towards that functionality, but right now everything pushes downstream from the software, from the cloud to the controller. So even if you got program A, start time 1, 2, 3 allocated on your 14 station X2, once you slide that WAN module in, you're going to have to reset that program and schedule within the app. And then from there, every time you change that schedule within the app, it automatically pushes down to the controller and will update automatically within the controller there. But you do still have some functionality of the controller when you have that WAN module in there. You can still do manual starts and stops using hold the right arrow button to do a manual test. You can hold the program button to do a manual program test, or you can even turn the dial to the manual runtime dial position and do your manual starts there. Similarly, you can use the remote as you would whether you got the WAN module plugged in or not. Remote works all the same. You can also turn the controller physically into the off position with the dial when you have that WAN module in. One thing I do like to point out, though, is that you won't have the ability, since that is an electromechanical switch that you're physically turning on the dial from Hydrawise, you don't have the ability to disable that off connection. So if you are turning the dial off, you want to make sure you want to actually be doing that, or else you're going to have a second service call to come out and turn that dial back to the run position. But kind of gets you a little bit of best of both worlds. You can do manual starts and stops, but all the programming is done from the app or from the software at that point. If you want the controller just to run as a standalone controller and do all the programming that you set in that controller, simply pop that WAN module out and it'll run its essential offline programming in that mode there. A few quick tips and features about the software. This is kind of a quick layout of what you would see on a desktop. It shows you your account, your zones and schedules. You can set up your watering triggers to get all your smart automatic weather adjustments. You can add sensors, like we said, if you want to add a rain sensor or even a soil moisture sensor on site to program your irrigation based off soil moisture or to prevent irrigation in rain. You can go through your controller settings, and then you can navigate to all your reports to see your historical controller operation, all of the events that's happened. There's a remote up here that you can use, set up all your alerts, do in-app messaging, all sorts of different features within this Hydrawise system that you can utilize, all with the X2 and WAN connection. So these are sweet options for your homeowners. Even more options available for contractors and multi-site managers. Like I alluded to earlier, the X2 and WAN is a great solution for high volume installations, tract homes, new production homes, anywhere where there's not going to be Wi-Fi readily available on site. After the fact that you come back and if you're going to be maintaining those sites, you plug in those WAN modules, add them to your My Customers account, and you can maintain and manage all of those systems remotely, quickly and easily from your multi-site manager portal. So a lot of features in here. If you're not familiar with the Hydrawise multi-site manager portal, I urge you guys to check that out. Like you can see here, you can have any limit of different controllers, different users and different customers to be able to manage all from one location there. So obviously with Hydrawise, you get the benefit of remote landscape management. You get the ease of knowing, hey, my controller is not going to be irrigating when it's raining tomorrow. I have the ability to turn things on and off remotely from my phone. You wake up in the middle of the night and for whatever reason you hear your sprinklers on when they're not supposed to be on, pull open your phone, turn them off, and you are good to go. So a lot of ease of mind there, a lot of time saving, labor saving, money saving, not having to drive to and from every site when you want to do adjustments. Everything can be done remotely from the comfort of your home office. Obviously talked about water saving functionality with predictive watering, weather station information. We are also compatible and integrate fully with Hindsight. So if you're construction or excuse me, maintenance crews that are using Hindsight integrated software, you can pull up your Hydrawise account quickly and easily within that Hindsight interface there as well. So tons of features available for Hydrawise in terms of remote irrigation management, making sure everything's working properly. X2 is an awesome solution, as we said, as your entry-level dial-based controller, but still gets you the benefit of optional Wi-Fi connection there after the fact. So that's pretty much it for what we have today. How we looking, Steve? We got any questions? Here's some merchandising packaging that you might see at your local distributor. X2 box here, WAN module separate from it there. Pretty straightforward. As always, Hydrawise technical support. We have a ton of support articles on hydrawise.com as well as training.hunterindustries.com, completely free if you want to sign up there and go through an entire Hydrawise training program and get a certification as a professional Hydrawise irrigation manager. You can do that, learn everything that we just went through, learn about all the other hardware and software features there too. Check out our YouTube channel. Tons of videos and support there, or even chime in on or listen into these next few Hydrawise trainings that we got going on from Kevin and Steve up there in the Midwest for the next couple of weeks. So a lot of resources available for you guys out there. If you guys missed anything along the way, you can navigate, email support to at hydrawise.com, anything you would want to do quickly and easily there.
Yeah, Ben, a lot of great information. Thank you. Really appreciate that. We do have some questions coming in, so just kind of go through a couple of them. Must be a Kevin day because a lot of my questions are from Kevin out there. So a couple of them we'll just run through. It says, max runtime per station out there. We have 6 hours on the regular X2 controller out there. Are the smart ports included? We said not at this time. They are not included. You have to get that from your authorized Hunter distributor out there. We've got one from Ken from Omaha that says you mentioned something on the app in the upper left-hand corner about that. You use the terminology hamburger.
Yeah, so you can.
He wants to know what flavor. Yeah, he wants to know what flavor hamburger that was.
Hell, if it was me, it would be an In-N-Out double cheeseburger all day. But this one just looks like a pretty generic hamburger icon out there. That's pretty funny. There's all sorts of different software terminology that I've come to learn in the past 3 years working in marketing with Hunter, which is pretty funny. Sometimes you can get a little toaster icon is what it's called for a notification. There's all sorts of different verbiage out there, which is pretty funny. But that hamburger icon is very useful in our Hydrawise app.
Awesome. We got another one from Kevin B out of the Chicago market that I think you answered this, but do you recommend a rain sensor on the X2 wand on the Hydrawise platform?
I absolutely would. Like I alluded to a little bit earlier, any of our Hydrawise controllers have the ability, obviously, for internet connected weather adjustments using predictive watering, forecast information, real-time weather information, our virtual solar sync we alluded to earlier. But sometimes the controller internet might go down. It might lose connection to the internet. You might have a power outage in the area, and the controller flickered and disconnected real quick, and then has lost its network connection. So having the ability to book in a rain sensor on site is a huge added benefit. Definitely, as like I said, a fail-safe to make sure you're not irrigating in the rain. You got that physical sensor out there exposed to the elements. It gets wet. It kills the circuit to the controller and prevents any irrigation. So the combination of an on-site rain sensor or freeze sensor or soil moisture sensor for that matter with the online smarts and weather data that we got is a huge benefit in terms of water saving and preventing any sort of accidental irrigation in inclement weather.
Yeah, great. 2 more questions here. One from Steve from Kansas City market out there. And I think you touched on this but the X2 does handle the Hunter.
Sorry, Steve, you broke up there for a second, but I think you were talking about the remotes. But yeah, it does handle either the smaller Roam for about 1,000-foot range or the Roam XL for up to 2-mile range for your bigger commercial projects. Either one of those remotes will work no problem. I think you mentioned there was another question earlier about if the smart ports come with the controllers. It's kind of funny. We at Hunter here, we've gone back and forth on that. Some of our older controllers used to come with the smart port in the box. Others, now we don't include the smart ports. Some of them, like our HCC and ICC2 and bigger commercial controllers, have the smart ports pre-wired from the factory. We kind of kicked the tires on that option back and forth either way, but ultimately, right now, we don't include the smart ports with every single controller, but they're pretty affordable. I think it's like, I don't know, $12 list price for a smart port, and you just wire it into those REM terminals and connect the remote, and you're good to go.
Let me see, got one more. Will the X Core still be available?
So yeah, the X Core is still available. One of the main differences between the two, full disclosure, the X2 as a standalone controller is actually a little bit more affordable than the X Core controller today. And the main benefit, or the main reason behind that, is there's no solar sync dial position in the X2 controller. If you want to use the solar sync type programming, plug in that WAN module and use internet connectivity and weather station data for that virtual solar sync. But if you want to use a standalone X Core, have no desire to connect it to the internet, but you still want it to be a smart EPA WaterSense approved controller, you can still go with the X Core, indoor or outdoor. We got 2, 4, 6, and 8 station options available, and then you can book in that physical wired or wireless solar sync sensor for those on-site smart adjustments. So we do anticipate the X2 supplanting our X Core market in the future as everything's moving to internet connectivity, but there is still the X Core out there for that on-site standalone controller with the option for a physical solar sync sensor.
Awesome, that's great. Just a little housekeeping here before I let everybody go now. First, hey, Ben, really thanks for jumping in today. I know Derek, had something, a preview engagement or a hair appointment or beard appointment or something like that, so he couldn't make it. So we really like to thank you for your time, but also want to thank everyone out there for their time. Also, Ben talked about the support at hydrawise.com if you have any questions.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.